Today's lesson is going to use place value to multiply. You've learned about base 10 patterns and place value. This model shows how place value and multiplication are connected. If I were to write the problem 2 times 10 equals 20 on the board, right away you know that we have two groups of 10, which is 20, or 20 can be represented by two tens. That's how place value comes into play. If I have 10 groups of two tens, which is 10 groups of two tens, two tens represents 20, of represents multiply, so I have 10 times 20. Each group of 10 tens becomes 100. So 10 groups of two tens becomes 200. If each group of 10 tens becomes 100, 10 groups of 10, therefore I have 10 times 10, I know 10 times 10, that's 100. So 10 groups of two tens equals 200. So if I look at page 43 in my student activity booklet, you'll see here's my 20 or two tens. So 20 groups of 10, 20 times 10, or 10 times 20. That's what shows here. So 10 times 20 equals 200. Here's 10 groups of 10, that's 100, and another 10 group of 10, that's another 100. So therefore we get 10 times 2 tens is 200s. This is a property we use to show the relationship between place value and multiplication, and we call it the associative property. So the associative property says 10 times 20 equals 10 times, and we took 20 apart and made it 2 times 10. 10 times 2 times 10, so 20 times 10. The commutative property says 2 times 10, in parentheses, times 10. So this time we still get 20 times 10. And then the associative property comes back and does 2 times 10 times 10, or 2 times 100, which gives me 200. So 10 times any number of tens gives you that number of hundreds. It says complete the steps to show 10 times 5 tens. So 10 times 5 tens, well 5 tens is 50. So if I'm asking how many tens there are in the number 50, I'm going to look at my tens place value, and it says 5. So therefore, I'm going to break this apart to be 5 times 10. Because 5 times 10 is going to give me my 50. Okay. So now again, I just have 10 times my 5 moves over here, and I leave my 10 there. 10 times 5, in parentheses, times 10. It's just showing that I can flip my equation and it still equal the same thing. Here again, now I'm going to use my commutative property, and I now have 5 times 10 times 10. Well, here I'm going to take my associative property, and I know that I'm going to move my 10 down here, and my 5. 10 times 10 is 100, and I bring my 5 down, now I have 5 times 100. When I multiply any number with zeros, with using place value, I can cover up my zeros and see that it's 5 times 1, which is 5, and then I count how many zeros are on my number. I have 1, 2. So I add the 2 zeros in and I get 500. This works for any number that you multiply when you have base 10 pattern. Let's look at another base 10 pattern. In your journal, write the number 20 times 30. Again, I'm going to take my zeros off both numbers. And when I do that, I'm left with 2 times 3. And I'm left with 10 times 10. Well, 2 times 3 is 6, and 10 times 10 is 100. When I add those together, I will get my answer, 600. You can avoid this step by just noting that 2 times 3 is 6 and add back on my 2 zeros that I took off. So if I wanted to do 40 times 60, I know 4 times 6 is 24. How many zeros do I have in my problem? 1, 2. So I'm going to add 2 zeros back to my problem, and I now have my answer. Okay, so when multiplying by products of 10, especially in the base 10 with 0, I can count how many zeros are in my problem. Or you can think about it like this. I took my 10s, and I took my 1s, and then I add the 10s and the 1s together.